My name's Rob McReevy. I'm the Vice President of the Operations, Asset and Information Software business here at Schneider Electric. So I'm responsible essentially for the P&L, the line of business, set the investment direction, and essentially where we're going to invest, where we're going to head, what we're going to do, those kinds of things. We've been doing a lot of the industrial Internet of Things for many years. So there's part of the confusion is, well, what's new and what's different about the industrial Internet of Things or this so-called IoT? And in that area, what we've been able to describe to our customers is it's essentially an extension of a lot of the things that we've been doing as the leader in this market for a long, long time. What is new is the confluence of these sort of low-cost, high-fidelity sensing technologies. When you bring in more of these sensing technologies and more of these devices, you have a lot of high-fidelity process and production data that needs to be stored, organized, and contextualized in order to drive those high-value applications that are essentially the real reason why the industrial Internet of Things is meaningful. And applications such as predictive asset analytics, taking a look at all the sort of large-scale capital equipment that's used in industrial manufacturing and infrastructure, and how do we better optimize that equipment for performance? How do we make sure that it's more reliable, that it's operating safely? And that's an interesting use case for us and one that we've seen quite a bit about. So a lot of questions we get from our customers are, okay, if we put in predictive analytics technologies and, under the auspices of the industrial Internet of Things, what's the real value that can be derived from that? And we see this across a couple different dimensions. One sort of obvious dimension is purely cost avoidance, and that is related to equipment failures and reliability. So as an example, some of our largest utility customers that implement our asset predictive analytics technologies have documented savings of tens of millions of dollars in cost avoidance by basically having documented what we call catches. And a catch is essentially where predictive asset analytics has caught or predicted an imminent failure. And so that can be essentially quantified as tens of millions of dollars easily in some of these large-scale utilities. The other area of this is performance. So if you look at the assets that are in a power plant, refinery, or a food and beverage facility, what a lot of the manufacturers and our clients are trying to do is get optimal performance out of it. Are they performing at a 70 or 80% utilization rate or an overall equipment effectiveness, for example? Those are the types of things that we look at. So performance is certainly the other area that we see as a dimension of why predictive asset analytics is important. So you've got the reliability, safety side, you've got the performance side. I think the third piece that I would bring up is quality. By looking at predictive asset analytics from a quality perspective, we can look at what affects deviations in quality. Why do we introduce defects in there in products that are produced? Why do we have fluctuations in power? Why do we have deviations and such like that? So those are probably the key three areas that we see for predictive asset analytics that are driving the industrial Internet of Things. So if I was trying to look at where to optimize performance, reliability, etc., I would first look at what industry are you in as a client or a customer, and then take a look at what are the business challenges that you have. So just be clear about what your business objectives are. That's really the first thing to do, because the technologies are there to solve all sorts of problems, but having a very clear perspective on what you want to achieve is probably step one. The second step on that is to be very selective about the areas you want to target to achieve your business directives. And then the last thing would be is to fill in the appropriate technologies and platforms that are essentially proven right out in that industry that have done these things in the past. So for example, find a technology provider or vendor that has a history steeped in these types of industrial manufacturing applications and proven track record for these types of industry solutions. And just be on the lookout for, there's a lot of hype about connectivity and big data and all these things, all necessary, but once again, focus on the business areas you're targeting and look for industry-specific solutions from vendors that have those capabilities.